The subject of our next story has brought two far-flung communities together as a piece of history is returned back to where it belongs. Almost destroyed in the war, a crucifix has been stored very safely in a small church in Rutland since 1936. But a chance suggestion means it's now set to take a trip back across the Channel. Natasha Turney has the story.
In a tiny village near Stamford, standing proudly at the front of the church as it's done so for nearly 100 years. The story was that it was recovered from the wreckage during World War I from a church flattened to the ground, but they knew little more.
I was taking a service one day and with my surveyor's eye I suddenly noticed this lovely crucifix. And it just drew my attention and naturally my curiosity. So I started a conversation off with the young organist at the time. I said, do we know anything about this crucifix? And I think it just sort of spiralled from there onwards.
The children looked at it and looked at the other things, and then Jono just said, shouldn't we send it back? And we all just stood looking at him, utterly amazed, because as far as we knew, the village was gone. It was smashed to smithereens. It was finished. We never thought any more about that. And he, quick as a flash, had his phone out and within minutes said, oh yes, the village of Douin is rebuilt. It's part of a commune on the Somme. The church is rebuilt.
And it went from there. June was then in charge of the research, finding out what really happened. Some of that information came from right on the doorstep from local resident Sir Giles Floyd.
Oh yes, he said, I used to talk to Parson Hewson about it when he was here and I was a lad, a small boy. He used to tell me how he'd picked it up on the Somme. So we had direct word of mouth then. And his family have spoken to us and tell us he was a great forager. He used to go around hunting for things, and we think he must have found the crucifix.
The plan to get it back where it belongs has been a long one, but rewarding.
One of the good things about the old one going back to France has been the relationship that we've built with the community in Douin. In particular, when we met some of them on a Zoom call, and you start to get to know the people who are living in that village and for whom the Somme and the aftermath of the Somme is so much part of their story.
Whilst the original's set to be returned in June, the altar won't be left empty.
72 carving hours later and a lot of help, there's the end product. Well, it's a real privilege, isn't it, to be part of that story. And I'm really pleased that it'll be here for future generations.
A story 100 years in the making, now set to be finally completed with a fairy tale ending. Natasha Turney, BBC East Midlands Today, Rutland.